Hey ho, let's go. Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you are well wherever you are. As always, I'm Sean Pugsley Martin. This is episode 36 of Pugsley's Pit. You know how it starts. As we always do each week, we ask yourselves the question, where else would you rather be than right here, right now? By way of introduction, I'm a freelance sports writer with the Albany Times Union, an avid sports enthusiast, a big time homer for my sports teams with zero apologies. You'll figure out why if you haven't seen the show in the My World segment. I'm the optimistic guy. You can follow the show on Twitter at Pugsley's Pit, taking the podcast YouTube, Apple, Spotify. We're going to take the opportunity today, I think, to vent a little bit, right? Typically have a guest on at this time, but not this week. We're going to. Sometimes you have to cleanse yourself. You got to get some things off your chest. Some of you tend to hold this stuff in, and I don't want to explode. So, like I said, every now and then you gotta take a cleanse and look around the sports world and see what's bugging you. Call out stupidity when it occurs because it's deserved. Like topic number one. Hey, look, opening round of the Major League Baseball playoffs are almost done. We got an extra game today with the Yankee Cleveland Game 5 getting rained out last night. So we wait. Okay. But there was a part of last week that was just beyond nauseating. And look, I know it's a new format. You got 7 teams making the playoffs now. You get 2 byes in the AL. I mean, Houston swept, so the bye week didn't so much hurt Houston, although they struggled a little bit with Seattle. Those games weren't easy. Massive rally in game 1 and game 3 that took a day and a half. Philly was at 32 innings. And the Yankees have a chance to advance coming off the bye today. Nestor Cortez against Terrence Savali. I'm not sure why Cleveland's not going with Shane Bieber, but Terry Francona knows more than I do. But in the National League, a different story. The Braves picked off by the Phillies. Braves had the bye week, all done. They didn't get it done. Philly was the better team in that series. And that is what's going to happen. When, the Braves, they were my pick. Well, actually, on the show with Eric and Ashley, just for the record, I picked the Mets to win the World Series. I was crying with Mr. Met here over that pick. But full disclosure, I ended up getting into a pool with some friends of mine. And forced to put my money where my mouth was. I kind of erased the Mets on my projections and went with the Braves. And all of that got me nowhere. And speaking of getting nowhere, now, full disclosure, I don't have an extra grime with the Dodgers. Clayton Kershaw is one of my favorite players I've ever seen play. I root for him every time. You could say I kind of like the Dodgers, I guess. I don't hate them. Like, that's the same as liking them in my world. But one of their fans, and he, by what I could read, is a journalist out in LA, or a journalist at least, comes out with this tweet, and it just drove me nuts. Now, I'm going to put it on the screen. I'll read it. By Eric Sherman. And Eric, I'm going to tag you on Twitter. After 111 regular season victories, the Dodgers must win their next 2 games to advance to the NLCS. This is when they were down 2-1. They lost that next game, game 4, and they are golfing. The third place Phillies are a game away from advancing to it, and they did. And yes, they finished third behind the Phillies and Mets, but they made the playoffs. That's the format. He continues. This is what's wrong with the MLB playoff system. Total crapshoot that doesn't reward greatness. My reply to him is on to the right. It's next to it. Hey, Eric, here you go. Maybe MLB can come up with the NHL version of the President's Trophy for regular season greatness. By the way, greatness, it occurs in October, November, not June in baseball. And the Phillies are playing because they got their, you can read it. Okay, I'll say it. They got their shit together at the right time. So, Eric, Mr. Sherman, 111 win seasons are fantastic for the Dodgers and good for them. Okay, like I said, Kershaw's one of my favorite guys. Playoffs aren't a total crapshoot. You're playing who's up in front of you. You're playing the opponent on the other side of the field. You can't pick them. You get who you get. But what you are getting is one of the 7 best teams in the league. Okay, you're not going to Washington for 3. You're not welcoming the Pirates in for 3, and you're not heading to the north side of Chi-Town for a weekend 4-gamer. You're playing the best of the best. All right, and some teams are better postseason teams. You look at the Padres who beat them. They got a tough top 3 with Darvish, Snow, and Musgrove. That's a hell of a staff, right? They beat the Mets. I thought the Mets had the staff with Scherzer and Scherzer and DeGrom. Didn't work out because San Diego was better. Could you imagine what this team would look like if Tatis wasn't so damn selfish and could ride a bike and wasn't taking the juice? So LA, look, you had it. You got a bye week. What else are they supposed to do? Now, I do think the bye week hurt some of these teams. Houston struggled with Seattle. The Yankees are going to a game 5 today. Sip of coffee, excuse me. And they could be out by the time this show gets released. We'll see. But what are you going to do? Money talks in baseball, and adding that extra team, all the owners benefit from it. And as far as the players, it's just, again, that's the system. You play it, and you play it to win it. But again, you're playing the best teams. Okay, so I'm not saying the Dodgers are whining. I'm saying Eric Sherman is whining. Yeah, you know what? There are no trophies. The NHL does give out a President's Trophy. I can't even tell you who won it last year. Might have been Florida, maybe. They were the top seed and were awful in playoffs. But what is MLB supposed to do? Because if, let's say, they add an 8th team and there's no bye week for the top seed, and they run into a buzzsaw in a best of 3. I don't like the best of 3. Okay, by all accounts, series to me should be 7 games, but you can't fit every single layer into the postseason if you're playing all 7 games. The season it'll be going on into mid-November. You can't do that with too many teams in the Northeast. So what do? Right? You live with it, and you play your opponents, and if you are worthy enough and you are good enough and you can hit enough against the best pitching in baseball, you'll be okay. And if you don't, you're out. And whiny fans will take to Twitter and say that greatness was not rewarded. Hey, 111 wins. That's fantastic. Now move along, Skippy. You're out. Phillies and San Diego starting off tonight. So, yeah. And thanks to Wendy on Twitter, my Husker Raider compatriot, for pointing out this tweet to me. I couldn't, I saw it. I couldn't respond to it. I put it out there on Twitter, and she found it for me, and thank you. And she's a Braves fan too, so she has every right to be a little salty with their exit, but she wasn't. All right, she handled it like a pro. Hey, let's go to the NFL, and I really wanted to get a picture of this suck-ass Tom Brady in a Bucs uniform, but production company couldn't make that happen. He's a Bucs fan. Looking, Tom, undressing his offensive line during the game the other day, and I'm sure those conversations go on all the time. This one just happened to get caught on video from Fox. My problem with Tom Brady right now is he retired. He's had a great career. For me, the second best quarterback ever. I would still take Montana. Most don't agree, but that's how I feel. He retires, then unretires. I thought that it was a power play to get Bruce Arians out. The day he announces he's coming back, Bruce Arians is out as head coach of the Bucs. Speculation on my part, but it is what it is. You can't tell me the timing there isn't right. And then he takes off for 11 days in training camp. That's not how it works, right? So he survives that. Todd Bowles says all the right things, that Brady doesn't need the practice. He deserves the break and all that stuff. But the guys need the practice. Okay, I never played in the NFL. I'm the farthest thing you're going to get from an athlete like that. But I know enough and I follow the game enough to know that repetition in the NFL is everything. If you've listened to this show or watched the show the last few weeks, I've said that about Darren Waller. He had no training camp, hardly practiced. He got hurt again the other day. He hasn't been in sync from day one, and his play is proof of it because he's been not very good for the Raiders after getting paid. So you look at Brady. I saw a guy who his footwork was poor the other day. It looked to me poor. A lot of his throws were short. And, when they announced in the regular season he was going to take Wednesdays off from the team, I thought that was BS as well, because again, you're interrupting the flow and the preparation of the team, not just for one Hall of Fame quarterback, but for everybody else. And that's where it counts. Now, he hasn't taken the Wednesday off the last 2 weeks, but he missed the team flight to Pittsburgh Friday to attend Robert Kraft's wedding. I actually don't think that's the worst part of that story, although if you're going to be a teammate, be a leader. Leaders lead. You can't lead if you're away from the team. He called out his offensive lineman the other day, saying they had to do better. They had to do their job, and it was his explanation, and that was he had to be a leader, and that's what quarterbacks do. They also don't leave their team to go on take personal days off in the middle of the week. Just take a week and a half off in training camp. Tommy, if you wanted to be retired, hey, be retired. You earned it. Okay? But you can't have it both ways. The egregious part of last weekend was that he missed the team walkthrough on Saturday. And again, Todd Bowles is going to say all the right things and that none of the preparation was messed up from that. But you're not there. You're not part of the team. Okay? He should have been at that walkthrough. You're Tom Brady. You're telling me you can't get from – what time did that wedding end? What time did the reception break up? It's not like you're flying from New York City to L.A. for a game. You're going to Pittsburgh. It's one state over. Yeah, it's a big state, and it's on the other side of the state, but it's not that far. You could have gotten yourself a plane. You get there at 4 a.m, get some rest. Sleep on the plane. How long could it be? I should have Googled that before I went on the air. How long is a plane flight from New York City to Pittsburgh? It can't be that much. A couple hours max. You should have been there. I would have paid money to see one of those offensive linemen to call him out the other day on the sideline and ask him why he wasn't at the walkthrough. You hear about this stuff in New England. It seems to all be coming out just the last couple of years. When then Tampa, because Bill Belichick wouldn't allow it. Is my guess. He told me he's got to get prepared for a game. And Brady left, I think, New England, because of Belichick, because he got tired. Football wasn't fun for him there. But it ain't working out right now because Tampa's kissing his ass and letting him dictate terms on him that you just don't usually see in this sport. I disagree with it. And this is how they're being rewarded. That offensive line's a makeshift unit anyway this year with missing so many starters for the year. I just think he comes off looking bad. He's talking out of both sides of his mouth. There are reports there's trouble in paradise at home for him. And you know what? I don't go there for a reason. That's between him and Mrs. Brady. And it has no bearing on my life. I don't care. And I'm not going to discuss it. Again, that's his personal business. I'm just talking football here. Speaking of football, the train wreck that is the Denver Bronco offense, correctly predicted in this spot in the preseason, continued last night. Russell Wilson's been terrible. He 10 for 10, good start. Game close on him line in the second half. He was crap. He was garbage. He was shit. And I love it. And that doesn't mean I was even rooting against the guy because I hate the Chargers too. It's a tough game for me to really pay attention to. You hate both teams so much you can't even take enjoyment in somebody struggling. But he was awful. He was awful again. And the beautiful part about it, being a Raider fan, is that Denver's on the hook to him for $245 million, 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks. There ain't no help coming. You're stuck. You are stuck, and you got a coach that's just terrible. But the ironic part of it all is the rise. Stop me if Yeah, and let me get my list of things I never thought I'd say. The rise of Geno Smith. Could it be? Could it be that all these years, the success Russell Wilson had was at least partial or a little more than partial a result of the system that Pete Carroll put in for him? Maybe. Did the system make Russell Wilson or did Russell Wilson make the system? The Seattle system is making Geno Smith right now. I'm just saying, food for thought. Don't dismiss it. One more thing in the NFL before we get to my world. Look, the NFL is a quarterback-driven league. They got to keep their quarterbacks healthy. I get that, but are they football players or are they not? You protect quarterbacks from the late hits, the blows to the head, the low hits. Bernard Pollard rule. You don't want knees getting taken out, but some of these calls are terrible. The flag they threw on Grady Jarrett for Atlanta last week, not the other day, but week 5 on Brady that extended that drive, extended that game. That was an awful call. And you know what? Being a Raider fan, we got a gift. When they whistled Chris Jones for flag on Derek Carr last week, it should not have been a penalty, and it probably saved the Raiders. We got some points on that drive, down the half. It saved the Raiders a turnover. And the Chiefs were incensed. I was laughing at their a-hole fans, their reaction, but you know what? I'd be pissed too. The reason why I'm not making apologies is the Raiders have gotten 2 calls. I've been a Raider fan 49 years now. The Raiders have gotten 2 calls in that entire time. And that's one of them. So, and the other one, quite frankly, I can't remember. So it doesn't happen often. So NFL, let them play. Let them play. Yeah, these are big, strong, fast defensive guys. But you're asking them to pull up and stop their speed, to stop their inertia. If they're half a step late, are you going to let them? You can put pennies on them, make it flag football for the quarterback. You got to let them play. So anyway, let's go to my world now. Memo to Mark Davis. You made the call. You brought in Josh McDaniels. You got Dave Ziegler as GM. Hadn't gone well at all. 1-4. And you're literally one play a game, one play away in each game from being a lot better than 1-4. Even if you win 2 of the 4, you 3-2, whatever. You are what your record says you are. We're 1-4. What I want to see from the Raiders this week is to come out and kick the holy hell out of Houston. Then I'll know we're going to get there. Okay, a tough 5 games to open up at the Chargers. Arizona at home gave that one away. The Tennessee loss was Tennessee's a tough team at home, but the Raiders should have won that game too. But okay, it's still a tough matchup. You beat Denver, they suck, and you lose at Kansas City by a point in a game that we really, really could have and should have won. I don't believe in moral victories either, but for me, the glass is still half full, and here's why. Houston at home, at New Orleans, Jekyll and Hyde Saints, at the Jags. I don't think they're ready yet. They're a year away. The Colts at home. The Colts are not what everybody thought they were going to be. At Denver, at Seattle, our buddy Geno Smith, and at home to the Chargers. And they're not as good as people thought they would be either. I know the record's okay, but Justin Herbert, I'm skeptical of Justin Herbert. He's got all the skills, all the tools, but something's not right there. And they should be doing better than they are. They should be more impressive than they are. And they won last night against Denver. Yes, they did. But that was more on Denver having 0 offense. I think Herbert in the second half of the game is just not the same. I've seen him play enough. He looks the part. Again, he's got all the skills, but something's not right there with the Chargers. So you got the next 7 games. 0-1 clunker. I'll give you a clunker, maybe at New Orleans. That's a 6-1 record. That's a 6-1 schedule right now. We're 7-0. To me, it should be 7-0, but odds of mediocrity set in the law of averages say 6-1. That gets you to 7-5. sets you up for a stretch. The Thursday night game with the Rams is going to be tough after the Charger game, but it's there for the Raiders. At 1-4, season's not over. But I want to see it this week. And sometimes to be a really good team, you got to go out against an inferior opponent and take care of business. And stop making me sweat until the last 2 minutes of every game. I'll take it in most cases. It's great as a fan. But this is the Texans. You're supposed to come, especially coming off a bye week. You now have 2 weeks to kind of work out some of the kinks. It's a new system. I'll allow for a little bit of that, but no more. No more. You got to be in sync now, right? Get Adams going. Jacobs has been a beast, but he's got to figure out a way to incorporate all of his weapons. Hopefully Waller's back with the hammy, but Hunter Renfro's back. Four targets in that Chief game, 4 catches. So I want to see it. And I want to, again, a last-second field goal win here, or even a loss, but it just a win's a win. I'll take anything, but I want to see them blow out the Texans because that's what they should do to them. Let's go to Lincoln. Bye week for the Huskers. Boy, defensively, they just got gashed up in West Lafayette last week. That was tough to watch. Purdue ran 100 plays from scrimmage. That was brutal. And the Huskers had half. They had 50, I think 52. It was a 101 to 52 or something like that. It's a credit to the fight in this team that they were even in that game, and they rallied more than a couple times, but still a loss is a loss. So we move on. We get a bye week through this, and then welcome number 18 Illinois to Lincoln on the 29th, and then Minnesota comes in on the 5th before we head to Ann Arbor, November 12th for Big Blue. But yeah, look, Illinois had a nice year, but this is a chance, another chance for the Huskers to step up and say, this is who we are. What you've seen the last few years, that's not us. We're flipping the script here. Oh, and by the way, Trey Palmer, oh my God. Thank you, LSU, for letting this guy get away. Husker receiving record the other night against Purdue. He was all over the place, big plays. One of the top receivers in the country. Good for him. I love him, and hopefully he can keep it going the rest of the year because he is an absolute joy to watch. So we'll see what happens. Let's go to the ice. Hockey season. Bruins fans, I really thought the beginning of the year would be a big struggle. Without Marchand, without McAvoy, without Grizzly. Brandon Carlo goes out last night. I got to tell you something. This team has been fun. It's only 3 games. Small sample size, I'll give you that. But this team has been fun. And they're getting scoring from so many different guys. I read this morning, every forward on the lineup has a goal through 3 games, with the exception of Jack Studnicka hasn't played yet. The line, as they get going, remember, Taylor Hall missed some of training camp, but the line of Taylor Hall, David Krejci, and David Pastrnak, that could be one of the best lines in the league this year. Nobody saw it coming. I shouldn't say that. Nobody. I don't think people may not realize how good they are, and would they be considered one of the best lines in hockey? Maybe not a couple weeks ago, but I think they will come March, April, and May. And then you get Marchand back to skate with Bergeron. So many options there. I mean, I actually, it's only been a week, but I feel much, much better about the Bruins for this year, and I think it's going to be a real fun year, and what's probably a swan song for Bergie and also Krejci's just on a 1-year deal, and they're the ones taking too much money off the top this year to help us with the salary cap. So good things I think are coming. We can stay healthy and get the reinforcements back. Get Charlie back there on the blue line with Lindholm and Marchand back up their skating with Bergeron. It could be a fun year for the Bruins, and I still love the goalie tandem of Swayman and Lena Solmark. And hey, before we, one other thing, the Tar Heels, my Tar Heels. We don't do too much college basketball here until March. Preseason number 1, we'll take it, right? Go Heels, go. I do want to issue a public apology at the end of the show. Jalen Hurts. When this dude was coming out of Oklahoma, and a lot of Raider fans wanted him, I said, no, I don't think he's an NFL guy. I think he's a very good college quarterback. at Bama before Tua got there, and then heading over to Oklahoma. I didn't think he would be a big success in the NFL. I thought he was too small. Look at the Eagles; they're playing great. And good for Jalen Hurts. Good for Jalen Hurts. I'm happy for him. The Eagles, good for them, man. Keep it going. Enjoyed you beating Dallas. That was a lot of fun. So yeah, Jalen Hurts, you can play in this league. I didn't think you could, but you can. I don't have an overlay here for Baker Mayfield, but Baker, I thought you could play. I thought you'd be the free agent steal of the off season, or the acquisition steal of the off season, and you proved me wrong. So you're terrible. Anyway, shameless book plug time. Dear Lumen, Noah, letters from Daddy, a book I wrote to my boys. We're going to be launching a second edition of the book with our good friends at Saratoga Springs Publishing Company, probably in the next 2 weeks. Today's October 18th, so hopefully by November 1. More information on that to come out, more details, and also big news I want to announce for next week. Jeff Pearlman, renowned author, biographer, has a new book coming out on Bo Jackson, the modern-day folk hero. It's just the 10th book for him. Other subjects for him has been the Lakers. Are you familiar with the HBO miniseries Winning? That was an adaptation of Jeff Pearlman's book that he wrote on the Showtime Lakers of the 80s. Other credits: Lakers of the 90s with Shaq and Phil and Kobe, Brett Favre, Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, the 86 Mets, and Walter Payton. So Jeff is going to be coming on. He's a former Sports Illustrated writer. He's got a list of credits a mile long. Can't wait to welcome him to the pit next week. So we'll give you all a quick advance on that. That'll be next Tuesday, the 25th. That show will be done. So until then, thank you mucho for your time. I enjoyed having you here on Pugsley's Pit. Let's hope for a good weekend with the Raiders. The Huskers can't lose. We'll take that. And the Bruins, keep on doing. Go Bees. All right, folks. Have a great week. Talk to you soon.